Would you be able to please give me your overall teaching experience, please, at what age group and what qualifications you hold?
Yes, sure. Good morning. So I'll begin by telling you I I have an experience of around 10 years. I started my teaching immediately after I graduated after I did my diploma with Alliance Française. After my secondary and primary school, I joined Alliance Française. I did a diploma in French language there that gave me an opportunity to teach French, but because I wanted to carry on and study, I joined the University of South Africa, where I did a degree, a BA with specialization in French and linguistics, and a BA honors degree in modern foreign languages and literature. Now, this enabled me to climb up my career in teaching, and I started teaching in both primary and secondary schools, and to an extent that I also got an opportunity to teach in the Kenyan universities. So as for handling students, I'm able to handle between the age 7 to 18. And of course, as I've told you earlier, I've also worked with adults at the university. Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Archana, the next question is about your classroom management. What sort of initial strategies and ongoing strategies do you implement to ensure that all students are engaged and minimizing any disruptive behaviors?
Yes, okay. So as for classroom management, the first thing I feel is I need to create, what I always do is to create a friendly, relaxed atmosphere, whereby first I would begin with maybe an introduction, greeting, or even that's how I would introduce a topic that is suitable for the lesson. Apart from that, I feel for if you want to be, if you want to have a good classroom management, the first thing is you need to be a model, an ideal model. You need to be polite as a teacher. You need to maintain an eye contact. You also need to, document rules in your class that, the rules that you expect, sit with the students and tell them rules on behavior, homework, etc. This is just a brief summary. And of course, one of the most important part of classroom management is avoiding to punish. Okay, maybe if it's not to punish the whole class, but perhaps pick up the student who has made the mistake and talk to him later. Mm-hmm. And of course, in classroom management, you need to offer praises as well. When you're working with the class, you need to maybe at the end of the lesson, maybe you could offer a ticket or maybe hold a small party, but that depends with the lower classes. And finally, as you deal with your classes, you need to have a system whereby after you're able to maybe have a score grade, system that would, motivate the students to continue to study. So these are some of the few classroom tips and management tips that I normally use as I teach. And of course, we also have complimentary letters for parents. Maybe if the student has been doing well, you could maybe send a note back home. And of course, not only well, even if the student is not doing good, you need to do that as a teacher. So these are just a few of the classroom management tips that I use as I conduct my lessons. Thank you. Yes.
Very last question for you, Archana. It's if you could describe how you would execute a lesson. So if you could give me an example of a lesson and tell me how you've introduced the lesson, what the body looks like, how you've concluded the lesson, and just to explain how you would able to tick off, the learning outcomes, and if there's any extension or anything like that that's required.
Yes, sure. Now, the first part, whenever you begin a lesson, I feel you need to create a very friendly, relaxed atmosphere. That's the first part. That is how I would introduce the lesson, perhaps by, you know, greetings, and then maybe just, or even a short chat with the personal topic. For example, if I'm introducing how to teach the weather, maybe I would say, okay, how's the weather today, etc. Okay. Then, as I continue with the lesson, I would like to create a very good physical environment. You see, that would be part of the lesson. Maybe suggest students to maybe move into groups, or maybe shuffle the sitting arrangement, which would enable the students, first to be alert and active. Okay. Now, as the lesson continues, I would love to focus attention. Now, like maybe by having a listening activity or a visual activity, okay? Of course, I need to make the class very enjoyable by maybe introducing light-hearted activities, yes, or games, and get everyone involved in the lesson. Um, And finally, I would also maybe use worksheet. These are now some of the teaching aids which I would use, maybe flashcards, worksheets, and follow up. And finally, the lesson should end with maybe a follow up, which I can do the next day, maybe by some homework. Yes. So yes, so these are basically how I would introduce a lesson and end it. It should be motivating. It should have a lot of activities in it. You know, I give a chance for my students to even speak out, give out their views, and listen to them as they also listen to me. Because I think as an educator, it's a two-way process. You need to listen to what students have, maybe correct them, where they're wrong, or agree with them, just to motivate. When you agree with them, they're also motivated to learn. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for your day.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for your time, and you make sure you have a good day.
Yes, thank you too. Have a good day.